15, 20 years now. I've been in his club, and they've come to my club, and we've done a lot of things together. It's a fantastic club. The former chef there was Pierre Chambrin. That's who brought Chef Mathieu down from France. And he was the former chef of the White House, and now they're moving now. So, and the general manager there, we worked together at Topeka Country Club more than 25 years ago. He was the clubhouse manager, and I was executive chef. So we know each other very, very well. So I'm very lucky to have Chef Mathieu here. He's going to start out his demo, and then Chef Romain here. We know each other also very well for many years. He was over at the University Club, and then I've been over at his restaurant. Very good bistro. If you've ever been to Westport, that's like the happening place in Kansas City, in between the Electric Light District and the Plaza, right?
Light, yeah.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
Well, kind of around
in
there.
Midtown, yeah.
Midtown, yeah. They got a little different, you know. Yeah. But anyways, great restaurant, Westport Cafe and Bar there, and he's the co-owner and the executive chef there. So he's going to go second. So please welcome the two chefs who came all the way down here tonight.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Chef, anytime.
Thank you. It's a small little town away from St. Louis. I've been over there for 18 years now. I came in USA as a J1 visa, ended up being married, and I've been here for 18 years. So today I'm going to show you a old recipe of a dish, but kind of turn the 21st century. So it's going to be a braised halibut with a lobster mousse and scallops that I'm going to braise in the oven behind me. And the main part of that dish is, well, he was asking me to bring some old cooking to the new one. So the Bercy sauce, it's a very old recipe, pretty simple to make. And just what I did at the club, I just turned that to a new dish with new aspect. So it's actually a pretty simple recipe to make. So you just need a few lobster. Now, it depends on the fish that you want to use. You can use any type of fish, but what I use most of the time is the halibut, because the color with the lobster mousse and the scallop and the white of the halibut come out pretty well. So I'm going to start, as soon as the water boiled, I'm going to blanch the elbow and the claws, and I'm going to cut the head of the lobster so I can make the mousse with the meat of the lobster. I'm going to blanch it in hot water for like 20-30 seconds, take it out, shock it in ice water so I can be able to get the meat out so it doesn't stay sticky on the shell. I'm going to use the elbows and the claws. The elbows, I'm going to chop it and put it in the farce, and I usually keep the claws as a decoration on the top. And usually I also use the antennas, but I don't know why they cut them, just as decoration. It just gives some color to the dish. So what you do first, well, of course you cut the elbows and the claws. That I'm going to cook separately. For that recipe, if you want to keep for my old member at the club, what I usually do, I cook the lobster a little bit longer, so it's well done and cooked, because they like that type of food, well done. But for here, I'm just going to blanch it for 10 minutes, so the meat won't be overcooked. So what I have to do also, is cut the head of the lobster, so I usually cut it right over here. Yeah, you can see it. Right over here, so hopefully I can get some lobster raw in there so I can use it for the lobster mousse to give a better green color. And I have some little bit, but not as green as I would like to. So I'll just take it apart. A little bit more in the tail. Okay, now what you can do is when you do that dish, you can keep the head to make a lobster bisque. So keep it in the freezer, cut it, chop it, whatever, and you can make your lobster bisque later on. Yeah, I don't have any over here. should have turned that on earlier. So zip the head. So while I wait, I'm gonna cut the scallops in small pieces for the mousse. So either you have many ways that you can do it, because it's in front of you guys, but usually I'll take up all the piece of fish or scallops or anything that I want to make the mousse with, and I use the grinder. And I usually use the finer grade, and I grind it twice, especially with scallop, because sometimes you still have some sand in the scallop. They don't rinse it good enough, so even when you try it after you get it brand new, sometimes you can still taste the sand. So I'm going to cut that in small pieces so we can use the RoboCoupe. I actually got that dish out a few years ago for a wine dinner, and it went so well that I ended up putting on a menu. And every year, actually, I only do it on a certain time of the year when the fish and the lobster are cheaper, and I sell them more expensive. So most of the members are sometimes just requesting that special dish for a special dinner. But like I explained, so I'm from the Alps, France. Right away, I'm like 30 miles away from Geneva in France. So my background is really like the mountain on the winter. Then every summer I used to go down by Corsica, south of France, to work mostly, fresh fish. Like the fishermen used to come straight from the ocean, from the sea, straight to the restaurant and show us all the fish that we could get. And we had to pick which one we want, get better price, better deal. So I did that for 4 or 5 years, going back and forth from working in the mountain to working at the sea. And at one point I decided to stay a little bit longer, because in France, when you work this type of season, you only do 4 or 5 months every time. So you're always off, 3 to 4 months, depends where you want to work. So I was kind of tired of not doing anything for 2 months. So I decided to find a yearly job. I ended up working in Switzerland, who at the time the restaurant was well known, beautiful place, terrace, mountain in front of you, lake. We had a lot of stars come by the boat just for the show. And the restaurant was coté well known in Switzerland. So I decided to work over there, and when I was 21, I always wanted to come in USA. And that's when I decided to start looking for a job here. So, of course, the fact that you're French and you're from Europe or France or whatever, you have a big opportunity to travel everywhere in the world. That is great. People will pay for you to come and work for them. So that's what happened with me over here. My chef was already bringing J1 visa from France, who at the time was okay for 18 months to come and work. So he brought me to St. Louis, because when I saw who he was, what he did, he was really like a mean-looking face, like I'm gonna go back to the army and work and learn more things, because I thought I was at the top of the chain at the time, because I was executive sous chef for an international restaurant. But when I realized who I was working with, I realized actually I knew nothing about nothing. He just literally told me, you can play food and do a little drizzle and call yourself a chef, but if you don't know the basic, you don't know anything. So actually, I ended up sticking with him. Even after when I got married, I had a chance to go somewhere else. I just really wanted to stay with the guy, with the chef, because he was an amazing guy. Like, you will learn every day from him. So I'm still waiting for that to boil. So the Bercy sauce is pretty old. It's pretty simple. What you do is you braise your fish, then you use the juice of the fish and the wine and the water, and you reduce it to almost to be dry. When it's almost dry, you put a little bit of the cream so it doesn't break. Then it is, like everybody knows, French cuisine is full of butter. So the mainly part of the sauce is the butter and the parsley. But to turn it a little bit better, because our members have they go and eat all around the world. It's kind of something too simple. I also added some caviar in a sauce. It gave you a bit more flavor. And when people see caviar name on a dish, they think it's fancy. I mean, it is fancy, but if you like caviar. All right, so I'm putting the scallop in. And now I just realized, can I get an egg? I completely forgot. Thank you. So while I'm waiting for that also, I am going to chop some shallots. Actually, it's called sizzler, finely sizzle the shallots. So I will use that and put in the bottom of the pan. So any type of braising fish, depends on what you do. It's usually you put butter on the bottom, fine shallots, then you put your fish, you season it. Either you cover with a lid or with parchment paper, depends on what you're using for, what you're using. And before I came, I made sure I had to sharpen my knives because I don't remember when last time I even cut an onion or shallots. Because in the kitchen I have between 35 and 30 cooks under me, so I tell them what to do all the time. I just make sure everything is what I want. So the water is almost boiling. I'm gonna go ahead and just put the two tails in here. So it's easy for me to get the meat out. That's long enough. So you don't want to cook the meat, you just want to be able to get the meat out of the shell. If not, it's going to stick too much.
So Chef, how do you think the Maine lobster compares to the Brittany lobster?
Personally, if you give me both of them on the same plate, I will not know which one it is. Okay, while I wait for that, I'm putting the claws so they can cook quickly. There you go. So now I'm able to get the meat out. Okay. Make sure I take the vein out. Cut that in small pieces too. So I can add the lobster. All right. So to that, I'm going to add a whole egg. Then start with a little bit of seasoning. That's it. I also add nutmeg, but I forgot to bring it today. Little bit of nutmeg. I gotta plug it first. There you go. Then incorporate slowly some cream. You don't want the farce to be too liquidy, because if it is too liquidy, it's going to end up to fall apart on the side. And the goal is to keep the mousse on the top of it. So after adding that, I'm also going to add a little bit of the raw that I had. So you can see, hopefully. So that's how it is right now. And it should be a little bit greener with the raw, and that's what's going to give the pinkish color when it's cooked. You're already going to have it with the lobster itself, but with the raw you will get more. Oh, you don't really see it much more, but it's lighter greener.
So what's your ratio, chef, scallops to lobster?
So what I did on that recipe, I did half a pound of the meat, because I already measured that, because they were 1 pound cold lobster. So half a pound of scallops and half a pound of lobster. Normally back in the day, they always tell you got to put an egg for a kilo of farce. But that's and you know you put the egg white first, then the egg yolk after. And more you cook, more you see you don't really have to do that. I'm gonna add a little bit of parsley for the greenish also in it. All right. So either you can use, so when you do big banquet, or you use an half hotel pan or hotel pan, depends on how much you have to put in the dish. Usually I just use something smaller than that and I cook fish per fish. But to show you today, I decided to do 3 fish at a time because I made too much farce for just 1 fish. So you butter the pan, then you sprinkle your shallots, then you lay your halibut, of course you season, because you always have to season everything. There is no shortcut. You know how hard it is to explain to a cook that they have to season all the time? It's very hard, actually. A little bit of pepper. So for the braising, I use white wine and water. So it doesn't matter the one that you want to use. I just took the advantage to get something nice so I can take it home. So the ratio for the alcohol and the water, it's half and half. So when I say half and half, so I always used to like having, so you want to fill it up to half of the fish. So between the wine and the water. Stop right here. Now those are good enough. And I forgot I triggered the... Okay. Now it's working. Okay, so I break those. Just going to put a little bit in here also. Okay, so the farce is done. So that's what it's going to look like. Then after that, maybe in a pastry bag. What you do, you cover the fish with the farce. Then after, all you do is make it pretty. Then when it's done, put it on the stove. It's working. Okay, I'm gonna put that over here. Oh, you cannot hear me?
Yeah, I can't hear you.
Oh, sure, hold on 1 second. Put that here. What is it, you gonna change all of it?
No.
Or just
they
the
need
mic?
that for the they're doing.
Oh,
Can
so
you just-
another one.
Yeah, another one.
That's not the same.
I think they may find you easier to hear.
Okay, and then
Sorry to do that.
you're
to
fine.
you.
Can you hear me? Yep, I can hear myself.
Better?
So I think it's good.
Sorry, Chef.
That's okay, you're fine.
I had to find that.
Okay, so can you see? So you make sure you shake the bottom, make sure it doesn't stick. All right, so after that, I'm just going to put a little bit of butter on the parchment paper so it doesn't stick the top of the fish. So when it boils enough like that, cover with the parchment paper. Well, now the little oven has a pretty strong fan. So to make sure the parchment paper doesn't go away, you put a little bit of weight on there with, you know, potatoes or whatever you have in hand. So you can put it in the oven. There you go. I put that at 350. I'm gonna wait 10-15 minutes. So while I wait for that, I'm gonna try to get those claws out as best as I can. Try to keep them whole. So the goal is to try to keep the claws as big as, because you have a little bone on the inside, so that's always annoying to try to take off correctly. And it's always hard to try to get that little guy right here. Especially if you do like a showcase, it's not easy. You have to rip it off very gently, at least I have to. Okay, so let's try to get the little bone out without breaking too much of that. Actually, that one got out. Sometimes if you're lucky, you see that little guy on the top right here? That's the part of cartilage. Sometimes when you cook it the right way or how you break it, if you're lucky, it comes off. But sometimes it does not. It came off on this one, you can feel it. No, it's right here. See, right there. That one was big. So that's how big it can be. The goal is try to keep the claws as whole as possible. Did I miss it? No, it's gone. Okay. That one's gone too. All right, so now all we gotta do is wait for the fish to be cooked so I can get the juice out and do the sauce. So while I do all of that, I'm gonna clean, and if you guys wanna ask me any question, go ahead. Cuisine, yes. So the main part is that's a cuisine. That's what I'm going to reduce almost to dry, then a little bit of cream and emulsify it with butter, because the main part is the butter. Halibut actually, it's not the main. So when I have that dish on a menu à la carte at night, we usually, depends on how many people we do, but it's easy, we go between 10 and 18 portions. But the club is not like a restaurant, because it's always up and down. Sometimes I'm gonna do, like this Saturday, I had a wedding of 220 on one of the floors. Then I had another wedding on the 40, because so the club is on 3 floors, 16, 15, and 14 floors. So we have an elevator, keep going up and down. And when I have a big party in a ballroom for 220, and we do serve everything at a minute, like we have a huge line, all the cooks are around, and with either way, slice the $10 and the fish or whatever, and we do all of that very fast. Then after, on the 14th floor, I had another wedding for 50, plus we had 2 restaurants that are full and packed, plus the bar. So it's a lot of work going up and down, but I have 40 people working for me. So when we put those type of dishes à la carte, we usually go between 10 and 15 to 20 in one services. So we always prep some, but we don't do all of it because we have to season it. So we don't like doing that. So we just do enough so we know we're gonna sell. If not, we have to make them à la minute. So I have enough people either on the back or the sous chef that I have on the line, or myself if really I have to, go on the back and start doing some prep. But the main thing that we sell the most is the Dover sole. That is the fish that I will never be able to take it off the menu. Dover sole is a big sell. We do it Meunière, we do it, sometimes they ask Almandine, but the main one is Meunière. Now for like New Year's Eve or things like that, I change it a little bit, like I debone it and we do it a different way, but they like the show to see the server come on the side, debone the fish in front of you. They like the show. And I try to push to do that a lot, like we do a lot of Dover, we do a lot of like pigeon, old, guéridon, cutting on the side, just the show. Cerise jubilé, crêpes Suzette, we do that all the time. Our members are used to that because of my old chef, and it's something I will never taking out because I love doing those things. It's the type of food I like to do. Well, now I cook most of the stuff, I cook a lot sous vide. So it keeps the tenderness, it keeps juicy, doesn't dry out, but I very be careful with that because I don't want anybody to get sick. Like right now, the rabbit, I will never do a rabbit civet ever again. I will never do that. I'll do my rabbit, cut it, sous vide, cook it the time that it's supposed to do, the temp is supposed to be, the meat is cooked, it's great, and it's flavorful and it's moist. It's not dry. A rabbit is always dry. It's always hard to have a good civet, not dry. Today I just got the Missouri caviar. Either way, I get the Missouri caviar. That one's Californian sturgeon. I couldn't get the Hackleback, but we do sell the Hackleback, and I do sell also the Ossetra, Siberian Ossetra. Or I go with the best price that he gave me for the quality.
You like to use pressed caviar?
Well, that one is, you say pressed or fresh? Pressed? No, I have no idea. That one is just from the cans.
Caviar with some of the caviar is actually smashed, so we would use it for like mousses and sauces.
Yeah, but you see, it's also very, you have to be careful when I do that because I want to make sure the caviar is not too salty. Because if you put in a salt or anything like disgusting, you put too much, because especially if you want the color, you're gonna have to put so much of it to get like a black color. So I would be careful with that, but I usually always get the Malosol caviar, so it's not too salty. But here, I just put a little bit just in there in a sauce to give just the aspect of the caviar. If you're somebody who knows well about caviar, you will know it's not the best. But when you see that, people are like, ooh, we have also caviar and lobster and scallop on the same dish. And I think those elements goes well together. Any questions? Because still have to wait. Nobody?
So what was the hardest part of coming from like Europe to America and like kind of getting adjusted?
I was going to say the plane, but the language barrier. That is, so I was working in an international restaurant in Switzerland, so I had a lot of Asian who used to come, and like from Thailand or China, so the only language I was speaking was English. So I had to speak a little bit of English to be able to be the sous chef of that hotel. But when I came here, I realized speaking is one thing, understanding you guys is something else. Because the accent, like I think I laid down in Detroit, and I just had a time to grab a beer, and I sat down, grab a beer, the woman come and asked me my ID. I didn't know what that was. I knew passport, I didn't know ID. I'm like, ID? I'm like, no, it's my girlfriend, she's still in Germany over there. And she's like, no, passport. So, but that was really hard, because to find the gate that I was supposed to go, people were talking with their nose. I couldn't understand anybody. I had to do every store to be explained again where to go when I finally find the gate on my own. But other than that, it was great. I mean, it's great. I've been here for 18 years now. Still have a thick accent, and I'm not going to lose it. Anything else? All right, so Well, unfortunately, the roe wasn't strong enough to give that pink color. Can you guys see that? Yeah. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to take some of that juice and reduce it so I can make the sauce. I'm going to put them back a little bit. So when it's almost dry, I put a little bit of cream. So the cream helps for the butter not to break. So here, I know at the club we call that very often a beurre blanc. Or a beurre blanc doesn't have any cream. So actually what we do at the club, it's a beurre nantais. But to make a real beurre blanc, you make the real beurre blanc à la minute, so you can serve it right away because most of the times it breaks. So the cream helps the butter not to break.
That's a nice whisk, chef. Where'd you get that at?
Amazon. Actually, the first time I bought it was back in Switzerland in IKEA. So when they did the one in St. Louis, I went just for that. Couldn't find it. I came home with some other crappy stuff, but not the whisk that I wanted. But that's a perfect whisk for sauces. And you want to make sure you also reduce the heat. Because if not, your sauce can break. Okay, now it's done. A bit of parsley. So the beurre sauce, that's a beurre sauce right there. Butter, a lot of cream, and parsley. So that's a sauce you can make à la minute everywhere, even at home. You do it at home all the time. But I also added some caviar. So it sounds more fancy. Add a little bit more pinkish color. All dry the fish correctly. Oh, actually, mistake. Ah, merci. So you can see the definition de foie gras, the caviar and the parsley. Well, usually, like I said, I'm able to get the antenna of the lobster. You deep fry them, they give that red color. It's a nice decoration. And now everybody use the microgreen, so I gotta use the microgreen. Yeah, I told of my French guy who comes, I'm like, now we're gonna start playing with the fou-frou shit. But here you go. That's a simple menu, a simple dish that you can do at home or even in a very nice restaurant. And you can just serve it. And like I said, it sells extremely well. It's a very good dish actually, even for New Year's Eve, Christmas, because you have scallops, lobster, caviar. You can make it as an appetizer. You can make it as an entree. And it's a new way to do those dishes, but it's still old. It's the basic is right here. My menu price on that, but it depends on the market. But usually, if I do the halibut, it's like between 48 and 52 bucks. Yeah. Yeah, I don't have anything under $42 unless I have to do frog legs or I do veal kidney or anything that I know is not gonna sell. I make it cheap, even if they're super expensive. I make it cheap, so I just bring some new item to the club. Every time I get new things, I'm the first one they know to call. Like when they have new items that I can do. We do stuff at the club that you don't see anywhere anymore. It's pretty simple. You don't see it in St. Louis. If you want to eat something like that, you got to go to big restaurant in Chicago, New York, or because we have to. All the members that we have always go to those places, so they know what they want. If the food wasn't good, like I said, we're a private dining club, so the food has to be there, the alcohol has to be there. If none of that is there, the club will shut down. It's not a country club. So here you go. That's your dish. Thank you. So is that when the student come and clean? No?
Huh? We're going to carry them around.
Oh, you're good. Yes.
In your French cooking, have you run into customers that want to lighten up in sauces?
Oh yes, all the time. All the time. We get all the time. So they ask me a lot to have lighter food. Yeah, but you know what I tell them? You want a lighter food, eat half of it. But I'm not gonna change it. That's all I tell them. It's you don't have to eat the whole dish. It's not because it's in front of you, but eat half of it. But that we get that a lot, especially where we are. It's older people, so they just don't eat that much. But I shrink the portion compared to my old chef. That is just, I went from like a 16 ounces veal chop to a 12 ounces veal chop. Or a piece of meat who used to be 16 ounces went down to 12. But I will not be cheap because somebody doesn't want to eat that much. I want to make sure the dish look good when you arrive.
Yeah.
whereas in the US. So in France, the race are from southwest of the US, like yeah. In so you know like southwest type of dishes near Spain. So the pizza, you get the Dutch and mentions in rice vinegar, water, sugar, soaked in some Chinese spices, like Chinese spices, kind of green pepper sauce, and then just 15 seconds. Just 15, then put it on the rack. Then I'm applying this marinade on top, like the soy sauce, dark syrup, rice, and some 10 spices from China. So I went to China like 10 years ago, and I didn't like the food, the mustache, very like the sauce was different, so we like that. I find it's here and here is the nutrition in the food. You use all your sense, use like the smell, the hear, you look at it, so very important to stay aware all the time. Like put my oven at 450, 5 minutes, and then put a food those are big, so you're gonna give like 4 minutes to check. And for white cereal story, you're gonna start with raising the item, so it's like turning from 11 that I really like. So I did my kitchen, I worked with the Japanese chef, and he told me to make a ramen over there, and I thought it would be one of the very Dutch restaurants, very Japanese together. So the Dai Club means Japanese food, very popular in Asia.
Missouri. So West Mountain State is open for 7 years now. I got it like 7 years ago with my business partner David. We are working friends from the same seminary school. We met at the school and we became a business partner. So doing seminary school, I guess 6 years.
I went to Parkville, Missouri for an internship for 4 months. And during those 4 months, I met my investor. He was a regular and he believed in us and just like kind of follow us in France and in US to see how we work, and he decided to help us to find a place to buy a restaurant. So we'll be very grateful for that. A lot of Americans help us to make it here, so it was great. It's a little bit more difficult to open a restaurant in France. So because it's like not an entrepreneur style of way to live in France, and the taxes are very high, which why the school is free and the healthcare is free as well. I'm just gonna get some spoon right here. So the daikon is start to slowly braising. Voilà, like this. I'm gonna put a little bit of butter. So we have this on the menu for like a year now. We follow the season, so when it's more like spring, for instance, we use peas, we use spinach, a lot of cilantro. When you start to have the tomato in summer, of course. So we try to use different like farm. So voila, we're gonna just braise it like this, nicely, gently. And this is gonna be our garnish. Voila. On this dish that we are making, we are adding some poached pear that are already made right here. So the best variety to poached pear, it's the Bosque variety because they are a little tougher. It's nice to poach them. They keep together. So in France we poach the pear a lot in red wine. It's like a dessert as well. So you put your red wine, you put different spices, some orange peels, lemon peel, and you bring it to boil and you put your pear and you wait like, it depends how hard are the pear. Sometimes they are very soft. If they are very hard, about like 30 minutes. And then you let it sit overnight so the pear is turning like red like this. And because it's the season of like cider, I put a little cider into it as well. So a lot of different spice and a lot of love into it. So I'm gonna put this daikon in the oven. This and check on that. So this is nice coloration right here. That's what we want, like this. This is good. Okay, put this up, and we're gonna make the sauce right after this. So I'm putting my duck like this. Voilà. So in the oven it's gonna keep like coloring a little bit. Gonna turn off the this one, and I'm gonna apply my marinade. So fresh spices, we just toast them. So we have like 12 different spices. I learned this dish actually with a chef in San Francisco, called a restaurant called Mr. Jew. They just won an award, like James Beard Award, and I went there and he basically gave me his recipe, so that was pretty nice. So we are gonna apply this marinade on top. So it's gonna really like almost confit the duck. Voilà. So it's corn syrup, rice syrup, sorry, spices, some dark soy sauce. So we try to do like modern French food at the bistro because it's what I learned in Paris just right before I left France. We call that in France bistronomie. It's like a mix of casual bistro and fine dining. So I'm going to put that in the oven.
What do you say the name of that dish?
Bistronomie. Bistronomie, it's a mix of gastronomy and bistro. So like a bunch of many chefs in France, they were working very hard in fine dining and they wanted to open their own bistro, and they started to do that in early 2010. And they opened their own bistro, but very casual way. They wanted to welcome their friend, their family, because they work on this like fancy luxury hotel, but they just want to make more affordable. So basically, they use this like little cheaper product. Like for instance, instead of using halibut, they will use like a trout and just like make it little fancy, just different method of cooking. And this is where I learned how to do a little bit more modern French food actually. And I decided to bring that in Kansas City because it was just like classic French food. And I like to be a little crazier in the kitchen with different flavor. So I'm gonna make the sauce, the gastric sauce. So I'm gonna remove this fat here. So when you make a jus, you don't want too much fat into it, except the lamb jus, because when the lamb bones cooked, all the flavor from the lamb is from the fat. So you kind of want to have like a little fatty jus, but for duck or like just a beef jus, you don't want to have too much fat. So I'm gonna deglaze this sauce. So it's a sauce gastric. So first you add your honey. This is like a misery honey, this one. And we're gonna caramelize it. So put some honey, and then instead of orange juice, if you make a duck à l'orange, I'm gonna put like a pear puree. Voila. So you have the recipe in front of you. When you make a sauce, it's difficult to give you a precise recipe. It's more like experience. You know, like with experience, you know how to make a jus. I'm sure Chef Mathieu is agree with me. It's very difficult to give you a precise sauce with precise ingredients. So I'm just gonna wait that it's gonna caramelize a little bit, and I'm gonna deglaze it with a pear vinegar. So if you don't have pear vinegar, you can use any vinegar, but if you make a pear jus, try to use as much as you can this flavor. So every time we cook duck, we try to get the suc in the pan. I don't know, you call that in English suc. No, the suc, the fond, sorry. I'm learning every day. So we're gonna bring that to, I always say the suc in my kitchen and they always look at me like, but now they understand. So we're gonna bring that to caramelize. I'm gonna check my daikon real quick. So I'm gonna make sure to put like we baste a little bit the daikon. This one is dead. Voila. Basting a bit. Ah, both are dead. It's not working. Okay. Okay. Ah. if you guys have any question, please. Sorry? Ah, two. Sorry. In the kitchen, we sell about like 6-10 a night, depend of the shift. Okay. Gonna put that in oven. Voilà. I'm gonna check the duck breast. So I check the temperature of the duck breast or any meat. I use like a cake taster. You can use a thermometer. I feel like this is a little bit more precise because that's where we learn in France the old-fashioned way to do it. So basically, I'm gonna take the cake taster and I'm gonna make sure I'm right in the middle, and you want it warm, so that means it's rosé. If it's hot, that means it's overcooked. If it's too cold, that means it's rare. So you want warm but not too much because you're gonna let it rest a little bit and then you're gonna keep cooking a little bit more. So you still need like 2 minutes probably. Yeah. I'm gonna check the other one. So usually in France it's about like 60 Celsius if you want to do with a thermometer. So a cake taster is a great way to know if your meat is right, even for the fish. We eat the fish medium rare in France. Here is more like well done. So I'm gonna put it 2 more minutes. I like to use a timer because I forget things all the time. And I'm gonna try to make it work. Yeah, up. Okay, so I'm gonna finish the sauce gastric. So we have nice syrup. You can bring this. I'm gonna deglaze with the vinegar. So about like, we're gonna put the stock is about 200 grams and half of the vinegar. Gonna add a bit of vinegar. So the sauce is like bitter, very acidic and sweet at the same time. I'm gonna whisk it. And I'm gonna cook that a little bit to make sure all the flavor are going together. Voila. And check my daikon. Up. We'll check if it's cooked with a cake taster as well. We want some bite into it. We don't want to cook it too much. Still a bit more. C'est bon. With the duck. Up. We'll check again. Voilà. So now I'm adding the the veal stock. So I make all the base of the sauce in my restaurant are veal stock because I don't have a small space, so I'm just using the same base. But if you want to make a dog jus, you can use dog bones. It's very hard to find as well, dog bones. So you roast the dog bones, and then you add some veggie and so carrots, onion. To make the sauce a little darker, when you make the stock, you can almost burn the onion. That will not give like a burnt flavor. That will just bring some color into the stock. And then you bring it to boil this like bones, water, veggie. Basically, it's like making a tea. You just infuse all this flavor in the water. The dog jus, I would say like it depends how strong you want, but it's like 2 hours infusion. Like a veal stock is more like 4 to 6 hours. It depends how you like it. I usually do like the veal stock once every week, and I do it like for like 4-6 hours. So I added like a veal stock that it's been thickened already, just reduced. So I'm gonna bring that to boil. I'm gonna check my duck. Okay.
It is at half battery. Do I just keep an eye on it?
So we want the duck rosé. So it's like
Okay.
rosé. It's like in between medium rare and medium, kind of. It's like same for the lamb.
It is 7:30. 7:45.
Christ, we should be done by now.
I know. They started late.
Okay. A little bit more. And after I'm gonna rest it. Okay. So the sauce, I'm gonna try it. Always try what you're doing. Palette time. Delicious. Okay. So this is good. So the sauce gastrique is done. Be careful. Voila, we're gonna finish braising this daikon. And this, we're gonna strain this. Voila. Voila, voila. Okay. And this, we're gonna finish that. Okay. Just make sure we baste those little daikon. And after, we're gonna glace those daikon with some little bit butter. So you have like different French technique, but in the same time, it's like modern because we're using different flavor from Asia. Voila. These little babies. This is good. And then, up the duck. We're gonna rest the duck on a rack. Huh? Some space. Okay. Sorry. No, I don't need that. Nope. Oh, yeah. Okay. So this sauce, sometimes when if your sauce is a little too thick, like this is a little too thick, you can add a little bit of veggie stock. So usually we don't trash any scrap in my restaurant at Westport Cafe. We put all the scrap in a container and then we use as a stock for like risotto or just cooking veggies like this or anything. We make sure we have a little veggie stock all the time. Voila. So we're gonna plate. Okay. All right. It's done. Put the plate right here. Okay. So I have my poached pear. I have my daikon. I'm gonna add a little bit of stock to finishing up. Voilà. And so it's like a classic French way to finish up your veggies with glacé, a little bit of butter. Sometimes the veggie can be a little fragile, so make sure we don't use too much utensil tools. Just use the gesture. We call that the geste du cuisinier. So we make sure we just use like the pan like this. We're going to glacé and make it like very bright. And we add some butter, so it's going to give like some good flavor. Voila. So when you cook a piece of meat, if you cook it like 6 minutes, usually you want to rest it for 6 minutes as well. Make sure all the blood are going inside, and you have like the same color everywhere. Voila. We're gonna finish the plate with some green powder. So this is like a green onion, the stem, the green that we dehydrate in the oven like for 6 hours. It's around 100 Fahrenheit, and then we cool it down and then we mix it. So this is very powerful. So if you eat a Peking duck in a Chinese restaurant, you have all these little pancake, and sometimes you have a bunch of green onion. So instead of putting green onion, I just put like little green onion powder. The macro green, little frou-frou, and some plate. Okay. Put so this is our nice little daikon. Voila. Put a lot of love into it. We're gonna add a little of this trill. So this trill is butter, soft butter, powdered sugar, and some pear puree, and some little food coloring, just to bring another color to the plate. Sea salt, crushed pepper at the end. I have two different oil. I have like the basil oil, nice and green, and the Fresno oil, chili oil, that I like to just glaze a little bit everything to make it brighter. I'm just gonna warm up those pear in a sauce, so that will give like the sauce the last minute flavor of pear as well. Just like this. And I'm gonna finish the plate. So, forgot those. So those are butternut flan. This is a classic garnish that we used to have during the 80s, 90s in France. A lot of like veggie flan. So it's basically a butternut puree. So you roast your butternut. You mix this puree, you add an egg, a little bit of cream, and you bake that in a steam oven or in a bain-marie. And you can make different flavors. So spring we do peas, in fall we do butternut. Voila. Okay, so I'm gonna put my little daikon first, like this. Put my green powder everywhere to make it nice and green. Voila. So this will bring a little onion flavor as well. Okay, I'm gonna put my flan. Just warm it up a little bit. You have the yellow, you have the green, you have the red of chili oil, and then we're gonna put the duck. So duck, I like to trim it a little bit. So then okay, and I put some little fleur de sel on top. The same for the other one. Up. So it's like rosé, just like I like. Huh? Bang bang. Then little chili oil. I don't know if you can see it, but it's okay. A little chili oil on top. I'm just gonna make it a little brighter like this. To make it the food, like just make it fresh. Look fresh. Always finish for the sel. Little crushed pepper a little bit on the meat. Up, and then we're gonna put the duck right here. This. Voilà. Okay. Ouais, c'est pas mal. Okay. And then the pear. So this is my favorite time right now is to plate. Work out for it, so need to enjoy it. And we're gonna get those pear. So use my spoon, remove a little bit of the jus. Up, put it on the cool rack. Up. We put like bring a little fruity flavor to the dish. If you want, you can recut them a little bit to make sure they stand. So I like to recut them and then you play around. Just like this. I'm gonna put one là. Okay. Put one like this. Hein? C'est pas mal. Voilà. Tac. And voilà. Always bring a little crispy texture to it, so we're gonna put like a little twill. We can just put the twill in the flan as well, like that. Like that. The microgreen. Voilà. And the sauce in my restaurant, we put it on the side, so the server is pouring the sauce on the side, or sometimes if I have time I go to do it myself. Et voilà, so I put a little bit of sauce just in the middle like this. So like you have a modern duck breast right now with like Asian fusion and pear sauce instead of orange sauce that you can have most of the time. Voilà. If you want, you can leave the pan to the guest as well, like that. You can sauce it. Voilà. Merci bien. Des questions? This is 35 bucks. Yeah. Because the duck is around $15 a pound. Those are big, but usually they are smaller. So, and it's a bistro, so we cannot charge too much. And we are in a neighborhood like where young people hang out. Young people with or without money, and older people with or without money. So we try to attract every kind of client. So we open until midnight, so we serve food until midnight. But after 10, it's just an happy hour, so it's less food. But we are famous. We are well known in Kansas City for serving food late night. Yeah, and we also have craft cocktail that we change in the same time than the food, so that's pretty fun.
When you're cooking food from France, that is it's like really France here. How do you find the middle ground between seasonal things like local versus still trying to stay traditional?
Well, but if the dish is not seasonal, I'm not putting on the menu. But for instance, if sometimes I don't know what to create, I just go to the market. I cannot buy all from the market because I need to stay pretty affordable. So, but sometimes I go every Wednesday actually, and I look at what they have. And for instance, this summer was like beautiful tomato, beautiful watermelon. So I decided to do like a watermelon dressing. Put some fresh piece of watermelon, some like a carpaccio of like very thin heirloom tomato, and just make a little homemade focaccia on the side, a nice burrata. So you just like basically see what's in there, what's in misery, compare with what you have in mind in France, all your recipe, and just try to combine both. Because American customers are not the same than French customer. You need to, like Chef Mathieu said, like you need some lobster is a good seller, duck breast is a good seller, but if you put like a rabbit or veal, it's very hard to sell sometimes. So you need to adapt yourself to the customer. Bon, merci. Merci, c'est tout.